Hello and welcome to Uncensored Conservatism. This is episode number 372. And I'm looking at some international news, which most likely was not covered here in the United States. Well, maybe some of it, but whatever. Let's start with our neighbors to the north. In Canada, where Kenneth Pullen of North Bay, Ontario, was sentenced to 9 months in jail for social media posts that denied the Holocaust. I'm a free speech advocate, the good, the bad, and the ugly, and some of his postings were bad and ugly, but 9 months for alleged hate speech? Come on, Canada, you can do better than that. Moving south to another neighbor, Mexico, a 1,200-member human caravan of mainly Cuban refugees are heading north again, but there's a twist. They intend to stop in Mexico City. So this is how asylum is supposed to work. Sanctuary in the first free country you enter, not your desired destination, which was the United States under Joe Biden. As an added bonus, now Mexico will have to deal with what the United States has dealt with for the past 4 years. What a difference a year makes. Speaking of the United States and illegal immigration across the southern border with Mexico, unlawful crossings of the Rio Grande have dipped to its lowest level since 1970. That's 55 years ago. There were only about 238,000 captures of illegal immigrants in the previous fiscal year. And yes, this is called winning, thanks to President Trump. And this is good news also out of the United States, where Professor Mark Bray of Rutgers University, my alma mater, has fled the country along with his family for Europe. He claims he is being targeted by Turning Point USA, who called him out for being Antifa, which I'm told is only an idea. The good professor denies he is Antifa, even though he wrote a book called Antifa, the Anti-Fascist Handbook, which describes many of the tactics used by Antifa. So good riddance, motherfucker. Moving across the pond to Scotland, Police Scotland, their version of a national police force, is pleading with the government for more money. However, they managed to find over 254,000 British pounds for mandatory diversity training for their entire force. Demanding another 150,000 for this year, claiming that without such training, law enforcement will suffer throughout Scotland and they won't have enough money to arrest anti-immigration protesters. And it ain't much better south of Scotland in England. There, some historians and teachers are now warning that the influx of immigrants into Great Britain, some schools are now teaching students that they should be ashamed of British culture. In one school alone, over 40 nationalities are present among the student body. And this is what cultural relativism spawns, hatred for your adopted country. Sir Lenny Henry is some kind of British comedian, or so I'm told. He's also of Jamaican descent, which makes him black. Well, anyway, Sir Henry is demanding that the British government fork over 18 trillion with a T pounds for slavery reparations. How he came up with that amount is unexplained, but what is explained now is that this guy is a real fucking comedian. A worker at a business in Wrexham, England, has been awarded £16,000 in a wrongful discharge lawsuit. Carl Davies was fired after a company investigation for saying, "Top of the morning to ya," in an Irish accent. He was reported by a co-worker who was escorting a red-haired auditor through the business. The business investigated and believed Mr. Davies was mocking the auditor, who they assumed was Irish because, well, you know, he had red hair. The auditor, by the way, was not Irish. He was actually English. Anyway, talk about stereotyping. And this is what happens when you start virtue signaling and passing stupid laws. The British government is in the process of defining Islamophobia. However, several Sikh organizations are threatening legal action because it might endanger free speech. Specifically, they argue that they could be in harm's way because Sikhs are not exactly lovers of Islam, and they fear that any criticism of Islam, right or wrong, could land them in hot water with the British government's speech overlords. They have a point. A British hotel worker that opened his doors to asylum seekers from third world shithole countries paid for by the British government is complaining that a lot of the food provided is inedible and that the toilet paper is of inferior quality. Considering that many of these asylum seekers wipe their shitty asses with a leaf or pine cone or something, these complaints are rich. Even more rich is the hotel owner, who made a $150 million profit off of the British government. Jason Furtado, the son of 2 asylum seekers from Angola living in England, has been charged with a double homicide in that country. He previously twice thwarted efforts by the British government to deport him to Portugal. He also had 9 previous criminal convictions. He killed 2 men using machetes in North London. In a shocking case out of West Yorkshire, England, 2 brothers have been charged with the rape of a 17-year-old who became pregnant because of the rape and gave birth to the child. with a last name like Casigua, you know the brothers aren't exactly lily white English lads with red hair. Did I mention the one brother had AIDS when he committed the rape? Speaking of rape and sexual abuse in Great Britain, new research indicates that 1 in 20 minors has been subject to rape or sexual abuse in the country. That's 5% of all minors in England. Now, across the English Channel in France, a 52-year-old man was beaten with an axe, knives, and a baseball bat near a mosque in the city of Nantes. I know what you're thinking, a baseball bat in France? The reason for the attack? They were disputing where to place their prayer rugs and stick their asses up in the air as they turned to Mecca for their daily prayers in the mosque. I guess they take their seating or praying arrangements seriously at this mosque. A small town of Neuffen in Germany, an African migrant is causing problems. He's not walking around raping little German girls. Instead, he walks around town completely naked and harasses people with his schlong. It's been an ongoing problem for 2 years now after Germany allows only the best and brightest from shithole African third world countries. Iris Stalzer, the mayor of a small town in Germany, was hospitalized after it was revealed that her 17-year-old adopted daughter kept her confined in the basement and repeatedly stabbed her in a fit of torture. How much you want to make a bet the adopted daughter was from some shithole third world country? But the migrants in Germany are resourceful, if nothing else. Police in the city of Dortmund have broken up a paternity fraud ring where 7 men stand accused of having 122 children, which makes them the horniest migrants in Germany, or just a case of fraud. They use the children to gain residency for the mothers and all the benefits that go with residency, as long as they get a cut of those benefits. All 7 of them hail from Africa, I think 2 from Nigeria. Be careful of those Nigerian princes. While some German authorities report that 33% of residents or citizens aged 35 have a migrant background. This is a recipe for cultural suicide in Germany, and it's no wonder that some political parties have taken an anti-immigrant stance of late. While some human rights groups are arguing that these political parties are fueling racism in Germany. According to the government of all EU countries, Germany has had the highest incidence of reported racial discrimination complaints. They also note that migrants from sub-Saharan Africa face the toughest time in Germany, mainly because they come from shithole third world countries. And the political party at the forefront of the anti-immigrant scene in Germany is the AfD party. But help is on the way if the government doesn't ban them first. That's right. Germany Antifa is targeting party members by doxing them and posting addresses online for targeted harassment. They're also putting up posters and stickers in neighborhoods saying a fascist lives in your neighborhood. They use a social media site called Indymedia, but hey, the powers that be in Germany they're on the case. Farmers in Austria are sounding the alarm about the removal of many pork dishes in the country's schools. We're talking about things like schnitzel and ham noodles. You can only guess the reason why. It's due to the growing Muslim population in Austria, and then Muslims hate them some pork. I'd say fuck them. Eat the fucking pig or bring your own lunch. Some migrants from shithole third world countries living in Sweden are pushing back against recent government efforts to preserve Swedish culture. Apparently, they dislike their children being taught about the Nobel Prize, Pippi Longstocking, Ingmar Bergman, or even IKEA. They, the migrants, claim it's too long on nostalgia, which is, culture. A recent survey out of Finland revealed that Finns increasingly believe racism is a problem in that country. Okay, Finland isn't exactly a diverse country, and when you import people from shithole third world countries, there's likely to be some backlash and, dare I say, racism. So that's hardly surprising. Over 145 countries around the world recognize travel documents from the non-existent state of Palestine, but Finland isn't one of them. Well, that all changed this month, although they don't accept travel documents from Hamas. So sorry, migrants from Gaza. You have to go get your documents from another Palestinian terrorist group like the Palestinian Authority over in the West Bank. Between 5,000 and 7,000 marchers showed up in a city in southwestern Hungary recently to celebrate Gay Pride. Such parades and demonstrations are actually banned in Hungary. Several people were arrested and faced fines up to $537 American dollars. EU Parliament members from Romania and Luxembourg also participated. Andrej Babiš his party won the recent parliamentary elections in the Czech Republic. He's a billionaire and self-declared Trumpist leader. In the EU Parliament, Babiš and Hungarian President Viktor Orban formed the Patriots for Europe bloc, and Babiš's party ran on a platform of putting the Czech Republic first, or Make the Czech Republic great again. 2 Polish border guards were injured in the country of Georgia recently after assailants attacked them with knives and machetes. The Polish guards were in Georgia to assist that country with the deportation of Pakistani nationals from Georgia. Over in Spain, the right-wing Vox party is vowing to reverse the Islamization of that country if they gain political power. In the past 15 years, the number of mosques dominating Spanish city skylines, has more than doubled. Some of these mosques in major cities are relics of the past before Ferdinand and Isabella, the ones who sent Columbus on a trip, kicked the Muslims off the Iberian Peninsula. They need to come back. So Ilaria Salis is a member of the far-left Green Party in Italy who was elected to the European Union Parliament in 2024. But in 2023, Ms. Salis participated in protests that turned violent, and she, along with others, attacked several people she described as neo-Nazis with hammers. Authorities later said they were just protesters, they weren't neo-Nazis. Hungary charged her with aggravated assault and attempted murder after she joined up with Antifa, which I'm told really doesn't exist, it's just an idea. However, by a single vote, the EU Parliament voted to extend her immunity from prosecution in Hungary. This does not sit well with other right-wing parties in Italy. Greece announced a new era of immigration policy where they will focus on employment and economic needs. Government assistance to asylum seekers is being seriously slashed, and they are ending housing subsidies for migrants. It looks like some European countries are seeing the light shed by President Trump's policies when it comes to immigration. Make Greece great again. Speaking of illegal immigration, Operation Doodala is added again in South Africa. They are an anti-immigrant group who has previously blocked foreigner access to hospitals in that country. Now they're campaigning against allowing foreign children in any South African school. Their motto is South Africa First, or Make South Africa Great Again. Speaking of South Africa, the Kruger National Park, a huge animal sanctuary, may soon be getting a name change because, Kruger is just too German-sounding or maybe white-sounding. Paul Kruger is a hero among Afrikaners, those of European descent, for standing up to British colonialism. But to black South Africans, he's a symbol of a racist past. By the way, in that racist past, South Africa was not a shithole third world country. Dozens were killed after hostilities erupted along the border between Afghanistan and Pakistan. This is a case of Muslim-on-Muslim aggression. Pakistan accuses the Taliban of harboring terrorists operating in Pakistan, while Afghanistan accused Pakistan of airstrikes against Kabul, which is nowhere near the border. I say just let them have at it. The military of Myanmar, formerly known as Thailand, is being accused of using a motorized paraglider to fly into a remote village and kill at least 40 people at a Buddhist festival. The festival marked the end of Buddhist Lent, and leaders there were demanding the release of political prisoners. Myanmar has been in a civil war since 2021 when the military seized power. In Vietnam, in Ho Chi Minh City, formerly known as Saigon, revelers were upset to learn that gay pride festivities were canceled, leading some to believe that the ruling Communist Party is about to crack down on homosexuals and transgenders in Vietnam. However, gay pride marches did take place in Vietnam's capital city of Hanoi, leading others to believe that the decision was local and not national. Vietnam is considered one of the most tolerant Asian countries when it comes to homosexuality and transgenders. And finally, Sanai Takachi becomes the first woman to lead the ruling party in Japan, the Liberal Democrats. I know that sounds bad here in the United States, but in Japan, they are actually the more conservative party. And the woman says that Margaret Thatcher is her political hero. She's an opponent of gay marriage and a proponent of married women adopting their husbands' surnames. She will likely be Japan's next prime minister. And that's it for today. Have a great day and a more pleasant tomorrow.